C.M.P. High Power Civilian Marksmanship Program Service Rifle, meaning like military rifle type matches. I recently shot my first one, and that's what we're going to talk about today on Gunfighter Life. Welcome to the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, ballistics, the right way with Almighty God at the center, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. Military, law enforcement, competition shooting, hunting. See bio in the show notes. Well, let's get into it, guys. C.M.P. starts for Civilian Marksmanship Program. It's been around a long time. I believe since the very early 1900s. Get this. Back then, the government wanted American civilians to be better trained in firearms. Whew, what a change. But without getting too political, those were the days when this got started. It was right around the time we adopted the 1903 Springfield, a much different military technology than what we had had before it in the American military. And in order, from what I've read, in order to promote good marksmanship and to, increase the lethality of the American man, the government started the C.M.P. Civilian Marksmanship Program, and it has been going strong ever since. There's a bunch of different stuff in there. Some of the most popular ones, though, are the high-power service rifle matches, of which I took part in. Now, I've shot a lot of competitions. For you guys that don't regularly listen, I've shot and been blessed to win more competitions than I can remember. I shoot Steel Challenge currently. I've shot IDPA and USPSA and 3-gun, and I've even competed archery and muzzleloader and tomahawk and knife throwing, if you want to count that. But I started shooting in 4-position. I think now it's called 3-position. They've changed it, but it is a more traditional, classic rifle type competition, standing, sitting, kneeling, and prone. Also, I served in the U.S. Marine Corps where I qualified expert, and both of those things had a lot in common with the C.M.P. high power match. But this was my first ever C.M.P. high power match. I actually saw it when I was shooting Steel Challenge a while ago, and I inquired about it, and I showed up to a match and shot. And I was talking to a fella at work that hasn't shot competition, but he's interested in it. A lot of the guys, all the guys, well, you're required to have military law enforcement background for my current job, which is private security contracting. But he does a different role than me. He's in more of the intellectual, nerdy type role. And we got talking about competition shooting. And I was trying to describe this match to him who's never shot a competition. And I think it would be a good analogy for you guys. I consider Steel Challenge like drag racing with a pistol. And I don't think I came up with that. I've just been saying it so long I forget where I heard it. But if Steel Challenge is like drag racing with a pistol, you step up to the line, hands up, and when that buzzer goes off, you just go as fast as you possibly can and hit all the targets. Hit being the key word there. It can be very challenging. It's very fast. It's like drag racing with a pistol, and I think that's a good analogy. Well, if Steel Challenge is like drag racing with a pistol, I told him that C.M.P. high power is like playing a symphony on your rifle. And if you're into classical music at all, and I'm not the biggest, sommelier of classical music, the biggest connoisseur of classical music, but I like classical music, and I understand that you have parts of the symphony that are long and slow and very precise. You have very rapid, generally, portions in the symphony. And those go together to make a beautiful piece of music. I would liken C.M.P. high power to that. There are stages where you shoot very slow, but very precisely. There are stages where you shoot rapidly, called rapid fire, where it's less about complete precision, although you still have to be accurate, but more about cadence, more about rhythm, more about firepower downrange in a given amount of time. And again, I liken it to, and I think it's a good analogy, and I don't know if I've heard it I don't think I've heard it anywhere else, because I was trying to think of a way to describe it, but C.M.P. high power is like composing a symphony with your rifle, like playing a symphony with your rifle. And I think that, and it's not the only discipline, but I think that if you are interested in being a good rifleman, sharpening, maybe developing and sharpening your skills as a rifleman, as a classic rifleman, this is a great place to do it. And if you want to stay away from all the, I'm going to call them metrosexual rifles, like just the groomed pretty rifles with the giant ridiculous scopes and all the widgets and doodahs and bipods and tripods and shooting off a bench and fidget spinners for men where you click and dial and use all kinds of electronics. That seems to me like a preener of a metrosexual man that has worried about what Air Jordans he has, and he's got skinny jeans and he's wearing a gold chain and puts product in his hair. That's those kind of rifles to me. If you want a down and dirty, hardcore blue collar type rifle match, I recommend looking at C.M.P, high power. Service rifle matches. We'll get into equipment and stuff later, but it's basically a service rifle. Like what the military uses today or has used in the past. A lot of M1 Garands out there, a lot of M1As, a civilian copy of an M14, and a lot of AR-15s, M16 type rifles. But basic, a sling. Yeah, people still shoot with slings. And I've been talking about that a long time before I shot this match, but forget about all the crazy, get around a tripod, shooting a gun off a tripod or a ladder. That's a big thing nowadays. I can't remember the last time I was out hunting elk and somebody sprawled out a ladder for me to shoot an elk off a ladder. I get that it's supposed to be a simulation of other things, but if you want to be good in that sport, you shoot off a ladder. How about just a man and his rifle and a sling? Again, there is some gear involved, but it's not a gear race like many other things have become. If that interests you, I would have you consider C.M.P high power service rifle matches. And I just shot my first one, right? But I think I got the bug. I'm looking forward to going back again. I am by no means an expert at this type of competition. I very much went there to learn. And I had a great time and it was very enjoyable. The C.M.P standard rifle course, as I'm reading it from their rule book, 200 yards, slow fire, standing. And I will mention you cannot use a sling for the standing position. 2 sighting shots and 20 shots for record in 22 minutes. Again, that's slow fire. Second stage, 200 yards, rapid fire, sitting or kneeling. 2 sighting shots and 2 series of 10 shots. With a reload, I might add, with a reload in 60 seconds. Third stage, rapid fire, 300 yards, prone, and that's going from standing to prone. 2 strings, 10 shots, with a reload in 70 seconds. Fourth stage, 600 yards, slow fire, 2 sighting shots, and 20 record shots in 22 minutes. 600 yards from the prone. Those are single loaded. And that's kind of it. They also have a similar course of fire, which everything is shot at 200 yards, but you use reduced targets, so they would be the same size as if you shot them at 600 yards or 300 yards. A lot of local matches have those. That is what I shot. Same stage, same course of fire, and the targets are reduced, much like the Army quals when they have the alternate qual where they reduce the size of the targets to simulate different ranges. So, not a lot of rounds. I think 58 rounds total. So, not a lot of money there. And if you already have a rifle, and I would encourage you, unless you already are just really into M1 Garands or, Springfield M1As, a basic M4 type rifle or an M16 type rifle will do fine. I'm I'm very pleased with my marksmanship at that match. I had a lot to learn as far as cadence go. I didn't even get all my shots off on the rapid fire because I was shooting so slow in the slow fire that I was like, oh, and I shot much quicker. And this is not excuses, it's just how I shot, right? It's my fault. But I shot way too fast, in my opinion, on the slow fire stage. And then I was like, oh, I should, slow down a bit. And then the rapid fire stage, I didn't shoot fast enough. In my first match, I'm learning. But that was on me. If you'd have given me whoever won the national championships at Camp Perry last year, his rifle, I don't think it would have made much difference. In fact, I probably would have shot worse because it wasn't my rifle, but it wouldn't have made a heck of a lot of difference in the score. It's not a gear race. It's a skill race. So, especially if you're going for your first couple of matches, several matches, just go with what you have. I took a SIG Tread because it's one of my go-to fighting ARs. It's what I had. I took it. It's nothing special. They allow on the AR division up to a 4-power optic, a 4.5 power optic, I believe. And one of my favorite optics I've talked about a long time is a Leupold 1.5 to 4. It's what I had on there. It's what I took. I already had a sling on the rifle because I shoot with a sling because that's, I think, how a rifleman should shoot. I took that rifle. The rifle shot very well. As far as marksmanship went, I was very, very blessed to shot well. But just go with what you have, and I think most of you are going to have that. Now, again, if you have an M1A, that's fine. You shoot it with the iron sights. The M1A has exquisite iron sights. If you've got an AR-15 with iron sights, just take it with iron sights. That's going to not be the major determining factor. AR-15, if you've got a factory trigger in it, that'll be legal. Meaning like a just mil spec trigger, which are not great. The minimum trigger pull weight for that is 4.5 pounds. It's not going to be too far off. So bring your, M16A2 clone or your M4 type rifle. Well, I think you should have 3 magazines. You might only need 2, but bring 3 just in case, right? 3 magazines, your rifle, 58 rounds, so 3 boxes, 20, 40, 60 rounds of ammo. And this is the big thing, go with your gun zeroed. An unzeroed gun is pretty much useless anyway, but make sure your gun is zeroed and show up to the match and have a good time. Be safe. But if you want to hone your rifle craft, C.M.P has been around a long time. Those rifle matches have been around a long time. And there's other matches besides that match you might want to look up. But if you're looking for, not a gear race, not, I've got all these electronics and laser things and widgets for men and a 20-pound rifle, you might look at C.M.P high power service rifle matches. I had a great time. By God's grace, I'll be back again shooting. I did post my targets up on Patreon for those who are patrons. If you want to become a patron, there's a lot of content that comes out on Patreon that you're just not going to get unless you're on there. And also, if you just want to support the podcast. With that, guys, thank you for listening. A classic verse for the day. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and fingers for battle.